Let's just go through them and
Yeah,
we'll discuss.
we'll talk about that as well, because it's kind of like a problem with WoW design in general.
Yeah. Okay. So this is basically good news overall, because we will be getting more currency, and this is specifically really good for alts.
Yeah.
So let's see the fine print from Blizzard. So in next week's update, Siren Isle patch 11.0.7, we will make several adjustments to the availability of Gilded Harbinger crests to the acquisition for all crest types through Mythic Plus dungeons. Gilded crests and Mythic track gear represent the pinnacle of available gear from a season and are meant to be rare, but we have seen feedback that both the availability of these crests and the cost of crafting top-tier gear felt prohibitive. Well, they've seen the feedback.
Yeah, it's weird because a lot of it, and by the changes as well, feels like it's very on point with what we've said as well.
Exactly. I mean, this is part of the topics. I think there were 2 videos regarding this. There was one like is Mythic plus shit or something like that, and then we had the fix in WoW video.
Yeah.
So these were the first video where we talked about this. Now, currency rewards from Mythic plus dungeons, crests, gold, valor stones. Now scaled by keystone level, and completing a keystone outside of the timer now always deducts 4 crests. Yeah, I remade the table because I wanted
that's
to
what
be
I mean. This is so pretty.
much more clearly so everybody can understand. So, what does this mean? Now, they didn't mention, so here is the thing. Currency rewards from Mythic Plus dungeons, crests, gold, and valor stones.
Yeah, we don't know anything
we don't
about
know. We don't know anything about valor stones or gold, but I do remember a specific area within the video you made regarding the gold rewards and the valor stones and all of that. So it's nice to see, but we don't know the amounts. We only know what will happen with all of the crests. Okay, so here it is. Right, we have the keys. We have the reward, the crest rewards on time, and if the keys are bricked.
This is probably like the biggest thing that they've changed so far.
Yeah, it's like less punishing. So the truth is, most of us here, like even you guys who are watching right now, probably already have your mains decked out, right? So this will not affect your mains that much, or maybe at all. However, when you're talking about alts, this is gonna be a much better time for like getting into them, because this is big.
This is big, but this is also big for the entire content as well, because as ARPG fans like ourselves, and hopefully you or not, but when you go into a game and you play an infinitely scalable content and you want, okay, I'm playing +8 and I want to do a +9. If there's no like real difference in terms of the rewards for the +8 and the +9, it's not really going to feel like you're progressing in any meaningful way, or at least if the game rewards you for that. So having the rewards actually scale with the key level, that's very big, just for the feel of you playing the game and knowing like, oh, I probably, if I can do a 10 instead of doing a 9, let me do a 10 because I just get a little bit more. This is also addressed in their blue post, by the way, because they wanted to not have people like farm 8s if you want Gilded Crest, which is something that we've done, for instance, and just do 10s, because the whole purpose of this is for you to do as high as you can possibly do and for you to be incentivized for it. And the 4 crest penalty for leaving, that is also very big.
Yes, this is, I think this is the biggest.
Yeah,
the biggest.
Let's think of, normally we do 10s and 11s off stream, right? Whenever we do our quests, and now 10s reward you with 12s. I don't know, it's still 12s?
It's still 12s, yeah, it's still 12s. It's just the fact that you brick it, you
get 5, so you lose about 8, right?
Yeah,
no, 7.
You get 5 if you break it.
Yeah.
So it's such a bad feeling, and this is a part of the reason why a lot of people actually quit if something happens in the pug world, because this, like, the reward is just not there anymore, including the crests.
So think about it this way: the new +2 will reward you 4 crests if you brick it, while the 3 already rewards you with 6. So the +3 that we're gonna have is already going to give you more crests as a failed key than all of the ones that we have right now, which is very good, because sure, that's great for you, so you don't feel like you just wasted a lot of time, but also, more importantly, this is hopefully going to eliminate some of the levers. Because if you go into a key, let's say you are a lever, you know you are, I know you've been in Narkeys. You go into a key and you say, holy shit, these guys just wiped, I don't know if we can time it. I'm out, I'm just gonna go into the next key because I'm not getting anything out of it. But now, like, okay, they look like they can kind of clear. It's probably not going to be in time, but at least I get 8 crests, right? That's still a decent amount. Not to mention that even if you do time it, when it comes to 12s and higher, which is, let's say, the break point of where the scaling stops, because, you know, 12s just are essentially the same affixes all the way to 20.
It's nice that now it's scaled, right? So now you didn't have this before. Now, if you want to, like, actually push, so you go for the 9s, 10s, 11s, you get a lot more.
Yeah.
And the cap is at 12. Plus, Plus also capped, very important. They are not capped anymore since this reset.
For this season. We don't know.
For this season, no, they will always cap them at the beginning of the season.
But also, a personal problem that I have had with essentially the amount of crests that we've received is that now with the 12, you can actually complete an upgrade for it.
Yep.
You can actually do a full upgrade if you've timed the 12. So there is a big incentive to actually time a 12. Even if you want to just upgrade your Mythic Plus, your Myth Track gear, now you can, if you're like a plus 10 player, you can also be incentivized to, I can do a 12. If we can actually time a 12, I can just get one upgrade per dungeon.
I mean, listen, if you like, the thing is, for people like us, right? Like we did 11s, no problems, and this is the biggest incentive you can have, because up until this change, we usually like, if we want to get some crests to upgrade our gear, we usually stick to 10s. Okay, let's do some 10 guys.
For the weekly vault as
weekly
well.
Vault and getting some of those, like missing couple of 5, 7 or 8, 10 crests to upgrade your last vault drop from the previous week, whatever. Now, when we have all of these 10s, we can actually like have a bigger reason and a bigger motivation to like push even further, because we get more gilded crests. Also, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I just wanted to correct what I said. From plus 10s, you can actually get an upgrade per run. I was looking at the brick ones. If you brick a 12, you still get an upgrade per dungeon. So although doing plus 12s is probably out of the scope of a lot of people, we know you guys do keys, so you're probably there as well. But even if you fail a plus 12, you still get something that's quantifiable, because whenever you're rewarded with what we have right now, 10 crests, they don't do anything, or you get 4 crests. What does 4 crests mean? It means that if you do 4 dungeons, you can upgrade 1 item and still have 1 crest left over. What are you gonna do with 1 crest? So these like
stupid
inconsistent amount of crests that don't really scale with any meaningful price of any gear or upgrade was just weird, and it left you with like you didn't really have a tangible feeling of your reward when you go in. If you cannot do anything with it, you just have to play more.
Exactly, but let's also read the fine print, because there are some things they mention, and there are a couple of more things. So first of all, the number of Gilded Harbinger crests needed to purchase a nascent Gilded Harbinger crest is reduced to 60. Now it was 90, and I hope this also will translate into Season 2.
Hopefully.
Number of Harbinger crests needed to purchase trade-up bags is reduced to 45%, so this has been 50% half. This is really good. This was 90, right? Harbinger of the Gilded achievement, really big, now requires item level 636. in every slot, and this is the one where you get reduction to
because it was a problem.
This was 639. Nobody had this shit. I mean, I think in our guild, the biggest, the eye level is I forgot his name, the shaman Naria.
636 probably.
No, 637.
637.
And
who has six? Yeah, but the
who
thing
the
is,
fuck has 639?
It's inconsistent with the crafted gear because I mean, people have different opinions about the crafted system, but it was actually, and it still is, really helpful to be able to craft relevant pieces of gear, especially if you're going to be using what we can call Gilded Crest's Myth Track currency, right? Because they enable you to have 639s, right? So using Myth Track currency to get only a 636 and costing so much more and not even contributing to your achievement just felt like a big loss.
Okay, for players who are functionally finishing with their gaming journey, the bar for the Harbinger of the Gilded achievement has been a bit too high, precluding the use of crafted gear and requiring luck to fill every slot. Lowering the threshold from item level 639 to 636 should add a little more flexibility and ensure that players who are completing the hardest content feel they can unlock the final warband discount.
Yeah.
And that will include a lot of us and you, and that's really great. Now, let's see what they had to say here. The changes to crests awarded from Mythic Plus have two main aims. Ideally, challenge and reward should be directly correlated. No fucking shit.
Yeah.
What a
hey man,
crazy concept.
I'm so happy for these new modern game design philosophies, man. Holy shit.
Such a new revolutionary idea. Until now, players whose primary goal was optimizing crest income were incentivized to run the lowest difficulty that awarded the desired crest type, even if they were capable of completing much more challenging content. I think we're the prime example of that.
Yeah.
This had secondary effect of making it much harder for players just entering the Gilded range to find groups for Mythic 8 keys, because they were often competing for slots with players who really belong in 10s, 12s, or even higher. Man,
I never thought about this, but that's a good point.
Yeah, while it is important for all members of a Mythic Plus group to have a shared interest in finishing a dungeon within the timer rather than just the key holder, dropping from a reward of 12 crests down to 5 crests when the timer was missed felt overly punitive. Currently, in patch 11.1.5, for example, a group who fails to beat the timer in a Mythic Plus 7 will receive more crests for their effort than a group who crushes the timer in a Mythic Plus 4. So that's, I mean, we've been signaling this for months and months and months, and we'll get to like all the signals that have been signaled from the beta. Actually, we hope that the difference of 4 Crest strikes a better balance of incentivizing group effort while still feeling rewarding. Our goal with these changes is to help players who are attempting to push into the upper echelons of content, as well as those who have alts that are looking to gear up to match the progress of their mains. Okay, thank you for all the feedback, blah, blah, blah. Now, when did we start signaling this? Now, let's be honest here, because there's a lot of shit. So this was, I think we started talking about these problems back from the beta, if I'm not mistaken.
I was thinking if it was earlier than that, but season 3 of Dragonflight didn't really have this issue. We probably would have had an issue prior to that, but that was too long ago, and that's kind of a moot point at this point. But yeah, beta, in the sense that, you know, dungeons didn't really scale their rewards practically with their difficulty, and the crest system, I don't know how much we pointed this out, but I know for sure that I know Nagura made a video, because I know I watched her talk about it as well, that since she's a cutting edge raider, and I'm sure other people do the same, but I'm saying that I just saw her video, they already have their crest calculated with how much they need to craft and what pieces, and when they calculate with how much they drop, like, oh shit, this is gonna take like 2 or 3 more weeks or whatever.
Yeah. The problem with this specific information that they just dropped on us is the fact that it's not complete. This should have come with a package of changing how the Mythic Plus system works entirely, changing the penalties to the timers, changing the depletion system, changing it, like basically everything that was covered in.
For sure. Well, I think there's there's 2 main topics as well. So just to finish the first one, this overall in and of itself is a good change. It's a good change in the sense that, okay, they are listening to the community. Shut up, man. They're listening to the community. They're doing actually what we hopefully feedbacked and making it a little bit more incentive, a little bit better for us to be playing. Normally, in a normal state, this probably would have come next patch and hit the new season with a stride. But obviously, WoW just operates at a different speed right now in terms of their content delivery and in terms of their supposedly player retention goals. So big holidays, big 11.0.7 patch is a decently sized patch. They don't want people just to keep dropping off. So this is probably kind of like a band-aid really fix. Please guys, please don't leave us. We still want you here. Here's some crests, right? This is probably it. Now, going into the grander scale of things, yes, this is definitely not enough and it's definitely too late.
Okay, it's a step in the right direction. I will give them that, okay? It's nothing huge, it's nothing massive. There are big changes, okay? It's big because the impact they have on us who have been like getting into all of the trenches of gearing up through Mythic Plus, through our, luckily, guild who is raiding on Mythic as well. We feel constantly the need to get more rewards, or at least for the rewards to be scaled up with the keys. The problem is that it is not enough, at least in the sense of trying to save what the current player-based sentiment is right now, all right? So when we're talking about big changes to Mythic Plus, yeah, everybody's hoping that is going to happen in Season 2, and this is a nice prerequisite to that, but I'm not convinced just yet. Honestly, I was expecting a little bit more from the team to just at least tease. You know the way they teased, guys, Hunter Talents rework is coming, don't worry about it.
Sure.
You know, they put that out. Like,
you think they would have teased it if they had more?
No, I mean, I don't know if tease is the proper word here, but in a way, I think they are aware of how the player sentiment is, and I'm pretty sure they're a little bit scared of how their numbers are looking right now. And I think Belilar posted a video where he compared the numbers of Mythic Plus the beginning of Season 1. You seen that? And that was like 50% lower than Season 3 of Dragonflight.
You know what's interesting? Okay, compared to Dragonflight, sure. What's interesting is that when we've done the last couple of months of videos, at one point, I don't know on which video it was, we looked at the rating cutoffs for Raider.io, and there were like 30 or 40% of the players did a +2, and then fewer and fewer as you keep scaling to the key. If you look at it now, it's 55%. So the knee-jerk reaction is like, oh, more people are playing. But no, it's the same people, or maybe even fewer, but so many other people dropped out of the game that the ratio just got so much bigger out of the entire community.
It was also, at that time, it was also a gear discussion as well. Not a lot of people were still being able to like push it. Now imagine trying to do a +8 key a month and a half ago when we tried to do it, and now it's like a walk in the park.
Yeah, it's basically
the gear infusion also impacts this in a huge way, but that doesn't mean that the player sentiment is here, and it's not like, sometimes we discuss about this, like, okay, man, I'm seeing this in the YouTube comments, but it's just a little known bubble. But now you see it everywhere. You go on other content creators' comments, same thing. You go on forums, same thing. You go on Reddit, same thing. So as much as we are trying to stay out of like our own little world and bubble, it's clear now that the player sentiment is 100%. This season is shit. Dungeons are shit. So if they don't like at least say something, this is good. Okay, so this information regarding the scaling and the crest and the increase of drop rate and crest and all of that, great. It's a step in the right direction. They have now a pretty good track record of like being aware. What I feel is happening right now is like they're super slow on implementing stuff, and I don't know the reason why.
It's way too slow.
Way too slow.
Even if it's faster than BFA, they're operating at a different speed, and we've called the Mythic Plus being terrible in the beta. I know that at the time I was watching a lot of Dorky streams, I was watching Max's, I was watching all of those guys stream, and everybody pretty much had the same opinions, like, what the fuck's going on? This is just way out of whack. So it has been announced since beta. This is we told you since beta, and it took you like a whole patch to fix it. This is why we say that it's a little bit too late, because one thing that the War Within did really well is get a lot of people in. We did a video, and I think you did some number crunching at the beginning from a lot of sources where we speculated that the whole WoW community was about 11 million strong or something like that, if I recall.
Yeah, but that was like right at the beginning, split between,
but that doesn't matter. That's still World of Warcraft, right? And a bigger chunk was probably going to be on retail anyway, bigger than normal. And you've lost a lot of those people. And we have like friends that came back into the game that haven't played since probably like Shadowlands or something like that. And we see how their approach and how the reception is towards Mythic Plus. You probably had a similar approach where like, well, dude, this is way too much. And that's probably been your experience or your friend's experience as well. So those people stopped playing, either are not playing as much or completely dropped off, and that was a big loss because the War Within brought in so many new players. It was a big chance,
record-breaking at the time,
to hopefully not get back the peak.
The thing is, so there's a big discussion regarding like how many people actually played in the season 1 of War Within, at least at the beginning. And one of the arguments on why it seemed that they were a lot lower when compared to Dragonflight season 3 was the fact that a lot of them switched to Delves. And the people, yeah, Delves was a big factor on this. Now, I always said this, if they would like have a way to like provide data or combat logs for, just to have to.
Better try like the closest thing you can get by seeing.
But no, I'm saying like just look at fucking Warcraft logs on a section for Delves, and I think then you would like actually see the reality of it all. Now, that being said, it does not excuse on anything that what has happened in season 1 of War Within. And I will say this once again, like a broken record. Morgan Day, back prior to even the alpha releasing for War Within, mentioned the fact that they want to tone down Mythic Plus. They want to reduce the number of nameplates. Yeah. They want to reduce the number of abilities and make everything a little bit more consistent. What has happened in season 1 was actually the opposite. It feels even worse than the last 2 seasons of Dragonflight. And not only that, but the stress levels from some specs, I would say healers mostly, and tanks as well, is through the roof. And I miss having like proper fun, 100% fun doing keys. This is why I actually enjoyed part of Shadowlands. I love dungeons in Shadowlands.
Yeah, they were a lot easier. The barrier was a lot lower, and I think somebody in our stream said something very good. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. WoW used to be about getting your friends and doing some fun stuff. Going and doing some fun stuff with your friends. It was never about min-maxing, calculating, simming. It was not about routing and using all sorts of external websites to do all of this stuff. And this is what you get when you overly design the content, where how are we going to beat this plus and what we need? Kicks to be number 1, they're number 2, they're number 3, they're number 4. Okay, then the weak card that shows the timer so that you can pre-defensive cooldown when this hits, because if it hits, you die. And then how many dispels do we have? How many do we rotate? Like, okay, I understand this being a fun gameplay when you try to play like a challenging game where you want to optimize all of that stuff, and that's the fun of the game, but WoW was never that, right? And that's I think the conflict that WoW designers have right now, where they're not all on the same page. Like Morgan, they said one thing, and then people did the same thing.
Yeah. The result was the opposite.
And you can see that on all aspects of the game. The best example is probably even the tier sets. You have basic tier sets where this does 5% more damage, and our force set does 10% more damage. Then you have tier sets like the Frost Decay. When you consume runic power, you just get a fat bonus chunk of strength. That's so not the same as everything else. So it just speaks volumes as to, oh, some designers, they got the memo, but others are like, oh, I just want to do some cool shit, right?
When you're talking about everything that is changing right now, so this happens next week. Next reset, we have 11.0.7 patch with the Siren Isle, the beautiful ring, which we'll get to in a second.
Very beautiful, so pretty.
And the super ring, yes, the best ring ever. And all of these changes go live. What needs to happen after this is them actually doing either a Warcraft Direct regarding 11.1 or something along those lines, where, if you remember, I said this, when they announced 11.1, they better fucking announce some big changes to Mythic Plus, or else
they need to do what they used to do, and I don't think they've done it in a while. The survival videos, which now I think Kalani kind of does it on their channel. They just released one like a day ago.
Yeah, but that's more like a review.
Yeah, but I'm talking about all of the people that dropped off. They don't watch our channels. They don't watch the Warcraft Directs. They're more likely going to watch a trailer for a new patch than a stream commentary of game design, right? And you want to bring those people back. You lost a lot of people, and those people are actually the blood, the meat and bones of WoW, and you want to bring them back. And how you're going to bring them back is like letting them know, listen, this is probably why you guys left. This is going to be fixed. What this is essentially, of course, Mythic Plus, it's gearing, it's... To be fair, I don't think War Within has that many problems as opposed to Shadowlands, Dragonflight, but the ones that it has, they just stick out so much because they feel like they're going in the opposite direction of the rest of the game.
Yes, they do their dance as they always do. One step forward, two steps backwards.
Left.
So this is their dance, unfortunately. By all accounts, in general terms, War Within has been so far a great expansion. We are only feedbacking and like kind of getting our pain points pretty much out there in regards to season 1. A season of World of Warcraft is basically what the core player base is actually chewing on in terms of content. You're going to have the big influx of new, or I would say, I'm not sure if new, but returning players for the launch of the expansion. They're going to stick around a little bit when the season starts, but they're going to fade away. The core audience of the game will still play during that season.
What was interesting that happened with the War Within is a lot of people came back that probably haven't played since Legion or maybe even before. Because I've heard a lot more opinions about what is this Mythic Plus? Why is this so important? Why can you not just do something for me? That's probably why Delves came. And not a lot of people resonate with Mythic Plus as a core end game of MMO because it's supposed to scale, right? Normally, end game MMOs don't really usually scale. They have a stopping point. This is it. This is as far. Congratulations, you beat the game, right? Scaling is more of an ARPG concept. And Mythic Plus essentially is kind of the loop, like Marcelian said, the end game loop that keeps the gameplay alive. Imagine you playing WoW right now and not having Mythic Plus in the game. When would you have stopped playing? Because there's nothing else to do outside. So Mythic Plus, however much you like it or don't like it, it is keeping the game alive until the next season hits. So it's very important why, because we've heard this as well in the comments, like, why are you always talking about Mythic Plus, right? There's a reason why so many people play it, and there's a reason why it's so important.
It's the most popular gameplay loop, at least after the most of the raids are being done, and clearly like the majority of people play normal and heroic, not mythic raiding. I mean, those have been long gone, and a lot of people got there ahead of the curve or whatever. So it's the remaining gameplay loop. And you can see it clearly from the logs and the numbers. That's what's going to happen. They're going to play Mythic Plus. And if that is suffering, then everybody's going to have a bad time. So just circling back to what we were talking about regarding these changes, they better have, like, once we have the 11.0.7 up and running next week with all of these good changes for crests and all of that, immediately after or shortly after should be something, even a blog post, to just announce some big changes to Mythic Plus overall. I think this gameplay loop has so much potential, and they fail to like bank on it, and you can clearly see the potential of it from examples like Season 4 of Shadowlands, season 3 of Dragonflight.
Even season 4 of Dragonflight.
Yeah, all the popular seasons where you know why they were popular. You know what happened. It's not a secret. They were easier, basically. Okay, we can talk about specifics, but they were easier. People were having a lot better time just playing them. Healers were not as stressed out. Tanks were not as stressed out, and DPS were just enjoying blasting all around. This is a game, for God's sake. You have to have fun, first of all, not being stressed out all the time. God damn it.
Easy is just one aspect of the game, but people have like a knee-jerk reaction when you say, do you mean I have to be bad to play the game? No, it's not just about easy, it's also about restrictions being removed. Because we can talk about Mage Sour being released, we can talk about corruptions being on a vendor not having to be RNG each week, we can talk about the covenants being interchangeable without restriction, we can talk about gear vendors and bullions and all of that. Every time there was also a layer of accessibility and a layer of friction missing that they took away, whether it was with essences or corruptions, whether it was with covenants or legendaries. Something happened that players just had access to the game without having to jump through their hoops that they consider friction to be something beneficial for the game, because it's supposed to increase the value of the reward, which fundamentally yes, but I don't think they know what that friction should be, and it's clear that whenever they put their finger on the friction, it creates tank and healer compelling gameplay. Well, you have to overly nerf them so that, you know, because we want healers to be able to constantly heal, and we want people to feel like they earned the challenge. Well, sure, but once again, I don't think that this is what WoW is supposed to be.
If that comes to impacting the fun aspect of a video game, then you failed as a game designer. Like if you push and push and push and push, and it's clearly that they did this from season to season, from expansion to expansion, they pushed and pushed a lot of things like make you like super giga brainly oriented and then several million times. It's not fun anymore. Okay, a challenge is a challenge up until a specific point while you're having fun. If that kills the fun, it's not a game anymore. It's just basically now we're going back to the chores discussion.
Sure.
So
think about it this way. Think about you doing a plus 12 right now, whether it's timed or not. Let's say the reward is the same, and if you time it, you get 50 gilded crests. If you fail it, you get 45 gilded crests. You get 1,000 gold if you win it. You get 750 if you fail it. We can talk about, oh, people don't want to play difficult stuff. It's not about not wanting to play difficult stuff. It's about not feeling like their time is worth it and rewarded. Because if
the punishments are way too big.
It's the everybody has a price thing, right? If you increase the reward to a ridiculous amount, at one point, even people that never really wanted the Mythic Plus are like, all right, I want to try it. I want $10 million for finishing a plus 10, right? People are gonna do it regardless, but the rewards were definitely not incentive enough. And this is what the changes are also adding, is more rewards. Definitely not enough, because this is just, you know, like a band-aid fix. I don't know if they could have fixed the whole thing in 11.0.7. They could have, but you know.
They could have went for this way earlier on, and I think once again they have access to the numbers so that to prove all of this. But we're at this point we're just like coping, right? So 11.1 has to like bring up everything, at least in terms of toning down the dungeons and getting on with everything that will make our experience and your experience, you know, as challenging as it can be, but also fun. Like the most important thing is still has to be you want to have fun. Going back to what you said, like WoW used to be somebody said in the chat, WoW used to be something you
just
do
log
with
in
your friends.
With your friends, and you do a dungeon, do a raid, and you have some fun.